tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Popping tennis swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Popping tennis swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city light.
All right. Hello, Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's have a brief word from my sponsor and 12 Tribes before we get into the receipts.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, hello, Anita, Nessa G is in the house, Latasha, Lillian X, Vince I Am, all the way from the UK. All right, Jose Lando is in the house. Let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. I see you, Nubian Cutie, Evision, Bookhurst, DC. All right, let's get this party started. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and all of my moderators for putting in work, okay? And shout out to everyone else tuned into the Queen. I see you, Alice, Anita, Harrell, okay, Deronda, Andreas in the house. Let's get into it. Okay, so yesterday it was reported that Maurene Comey, the lead prosecutor in Diddy's case, and also in Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's, was fired. Okay, but now Laura Loomer is taking the credit for it. Laura Loomer says that she is the one who pressured Pam Bondi, or Blondie as she calls her, to fire Comey. Okay, so let's get into it. And for those of you who don't know who Laura Loomer is, she is a very serious Trump loyalist. This is her right here with the burgundy hair right next to Maureen in the picture. That is Miss Laura Loomer. Okay, and like I said, she's doing a whole victory lap right about now. Okay, so back in May, here's what happened. Back in May, Loomer publicly urged Attorney General Pam Bondi, or mockingly calling her Blondie, as I said, to fire both Maurene Comey and her husband, Lucas Issacharoff, labeling them as national security threats and accusing them of being Trump haters. Now, Loomer has been a vocal critic of the DOJ's refusal to release those Epstein files and any Epstein-related evidence. She, in fact, blamed Maurene Comey, okay, saying that there were secrets being kept, and said that, in fact, Blondie, as she calls Pam, was covering up child S crimes. Okay, this is what she said. She felt like Maurene Comey and Pam Bondi were covering up crimes. Okay, so Loomer took credit for the firing now. Okay, she tweeted that it happened 2 months after my pressure campaign. That's what she said. Her congratulatory post celebrated Bondi's move and even called for the firing of Comey's husband next. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Now, at the end of the day, this is all very interesting. Now, mind you, Maurene Comey's firing comes amid a string of politically charged DOJ personnel attacks, okay, or changes. personnel changes, including the removal of prosecutors involved in Trump-related investigations. Okay, we all know how Trump is so petty and vindictive and how he gets back at any of his political opponents. Okay, now, with that all being said, why does she want Comey's husband fired, Lucas Issacharoff? And this is Maurene's husband. That's her husband right there with the glasses on. But Laura Loomer says he needs to go too. Okay, she says he needs to go too. Now, Maurene's husband, Lucas Issacharoff, is currently an assistant U.S. attorney in the Civil Rights Division of the Southern District of New York. Okay, he's been in that role since around September of 2019. Okay, so he previously interned in the DOJ's Criminal Appellate Division. His education includes Princeton University, the London School of Economics, and Harvard Law School. Okay, and so now she wants him fired as well. Now, they say recently in late 2024, he co-handled a notable civil rights case involving the Mount Vernon Police Department. As an AUSA in Southern District of New York Civil Rights Unit, he worked on DOJ investigations dealing with systemic violations alongside other trial attorneys. Okay, well, she says he has to go. This is what Loomer says. I don't know why she thinks that what she has to say is relevant, but anyway, let's talk about it. She also had suggested some months ago that they get a special counsel involved in the Epstein debacle. Loomer calls for special counsel to investigate the Epstein files. So far-right activist Laura Loomer, who's a staunch ally of President Trump's, said that there should be a special counsel to examine the handling of files related to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Loomer, who has bashed Attorney General Pam Bondi for her handling of the Epstein documents, told Politico's Playbook newsletter that a special counsel needs to be appointed so that people can feel like this issue is being actually investigated and perhaps taken out of Bondi's hands, because I don't think that she has been transparent or done a good job at handling this issue. Now, the Justice Department and FBI issued a joint memo that stated Epstein did not have a client list and confirmed that he did die by suicide with an S, not due to foul play, as many have suspected. Now, in his New York City cell, he was found dead in 2019. Now, the findings incensed members of the MAGA movement who have for years pushed conspiracy theories about Epstein's death and claims that prominent Democrats would be named on the client list. Now, Bondi in particular has faced intense backlash given her comments earlier this year pledging transparency around the Epstein files. Now, the Attorney General last week defended the Justice Department's handling of the evidence. Okay, the handling of the documents has sparked infighting among officials in the Justice Department and at the FBI, including Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino. Now, as Trump supporters press for more information, the president weighed in over the weekend to defend Bondi and express exasperation at the focus on Epstein. Okay, here's the thing. He said, we're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Epstein. That's what he wrote in a post on Truth Social. So it absolutely sounds to me like they're trying to cover up something. There is a specific reason they don't want these things to come out, in my opinion. And I do believe that possibly, now this is just a theory, possibly some very high profile, elite, wealthy people with power, money, and prestige have likely given Trump a few coins to keep this all on the low. What do you all think? Because he's now trying to act like it's a whole hoax. Like this isn't even real, like the Russian hoax that he was talking about. Do y'all get what I'm saying here? Okay, Trump is definitely trying to hide something at the end of the day. Now, I don't know if he's trying to hide the fact that maybe he's on the list. I don't know, but he's definitely hiding something. Okay, definitely hiding something. Now, I'm going to go to some video footage in a moment, but before I do, Trump said to the MAGA base, Let Pam Bondi do her job. Well, if she was doing her job, the files would have been released months ago, because that's in fact what Trump ran his campaign on. Okay, at least one of the things. Now, with that being said, Loomer says if Blondie was a serious person, she would fire them both for being a national security risk via their proximity to a criminal who just committed a felony by threatening to assassinate the president. Now, mind you, she was talking about James Comey, Maurene Comey's father. And the main reason why she wanted Maurene Comey fired and her husband as well is because she says that they both hate Trump, and that Maurene's father basically hates Trump. And she blames Maurene, like I said, for hiding information about the Epstein files. Okay. So days earlier, the former FBI director faced intense scrutiny after posting a photo of seashells depicting 8647. Now, remember, I told you all about that. I did a whole video about it. Okay. The elder Comey later took down the photo and denied that he intended for any violence and said that the message was totally innocent. Loomer went on to say that both Maurene Comey and Lucas Issacharoff need to be fired from the DOJ immediately. If Blondie refuses to fire them, then she should resign. That's what she said. And on Wednesday, she applauded the Attorney General. One for Blondie today, she says. This week, Trump accused James Comey, as well as former Presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden, of hiding or having made all of the Epstein files up. Said they made it all up. A controversy that has created a schism in the MAGA world. Now, it's not immediately clear if if her demands played a role in the Trump administration's decision to fire Comey. Loomer does not appear to have Trump's ear when it comes to who he keeps in his administration. Loomer met with Trump in April and urged him to fire the members of the National Security Council who had been disloyal to him. And then not long after, the president terminated several NSC staff. So it does sound like she has his ear as far as I'm concerned. Okay, now in May, the far-right activists believed Trump's pick for Surgeon General Janet Dershowitz was not ideologically aligned with Donald Trump or his administration's health initiatives. So she called for a new nominee. The president later withdrew this woman's nomination. Now, they say she doesn't have Trump's ear. Clearly she does. Now, asked about how many staffing decisions she's had a hand in, Loomer told the New York Times this month, she said, I don't even know. I really enjoy and take great pleasure in humiliating people who suck at their job. That's what she said. Okay, so what do you all think? Do you all think this woman is running things? She definitely seems to have Trump's ear. Okay, and I find it interesting because Maurene Comey was in fact fired, like she says, and she's taking the credit for it, 2 months after she put all the pressure on Blondie to do so. Okay, so it looks like Trump is doing what this woman said, honey, but I don't know why. Hold on here. I mean, they seem to be a bit chummy. Let me just pull up this picture. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Hold on, I'm going to pull this up in just a second. Here it is right here. Let me share my screen. Okay, this is Trump right here. Her and Trump. Laura Loomer, okay, says Trump refuses to criticize Laura Loomer amid concerns from Republican allies about her influence. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Said Trump refuses to criticize this woman after concerns from Republican allies about her influence. Okay, so clearly, I'm going to go to this video. Hold on. This is from CBS. Now, this video came out about 10 months ago. So her and Trump have been hanging tight. And Trump's been basically defending this woman for quite some time.
former President Donald Trump in Battleground, Nevada Saturday, making a stop at the Las Vegas Police Protective Association.
Nobody can believe how bad they've done at the border, running our country, the economy, inflation.
After spending much of the week defending his racist claims made during this week's presidential debate that Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio are eating people's pets.
They're eating the dogs.
Doubling down, even as some schools there were evacuated Friday for bomb threats.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants.
Vice President Kamala Harris spent much of her week in Pennsylvania, venturing into parts of the state that trend red, making an appeal to moderates.
I feel very strongly that got to earn every vote. And that means spending time with folks in the communities where they live.
She's also speaking at an event in front of the Congressional Black Caucus. All this as Trump defends his relationship with 9/11 conspiracy theorist Laura Loomer.
Laura is a supporter. I don't control Laura. Laura has to say what she wants.
Who has been spotted with him this week. Loomer posted the White House will smell like curry if Harris is elected. Trump later posted that he disagrees with some statements she's made. Christian Benavides, CBS News.
Why are women?
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Okay, so did you all hear that? This lady is clearly racist, talking about the White House would smell like curry. Okay, I find it all interesting. But at the end of the day, she's definitely putting something in Trump's ear. My question is, why is he listening to what she says? Does she know something that we don't know? Okay, and she's sitting up here saying that her campaign, her pressure campaign, is what forced them to go ahead and fire Maurene Comey. Okay, so anyway, let's go to this news report. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Because Trump's sitting up here trying to make us think we're all crazy and that Epstein is a whole hoax. Well, first of all, given the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years, I doubt it's a hoax. Okay, he sounds crazy. Does he think we're all just ignorant? Obviously so.
A special edition of The Best People. Nicole Wallace is joined by the hosts of the Midas Touch podcast for a compelling conversation.
Speaking truthfully on these issues, to me, that's the Midas way.
Saturday at 4 on MSNBC.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. I call it the Epstein hoax.
Will you ask Attorney General Pam Bondi to release more documents to finally put this controversy to bed?
You know, whatever's credible, she can release. If a document is credible, if a document's there that is credible, she can release. I think it's good. But it's just a subject. He's dead. He's gone, and. All it is the certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats.
President Trump yesterday continuing to dismiss the outrage from his base over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files, even going as far as saying he doesn't want their support anymore. We'll look at whether he's actually at risk of losing some of his MAGA coalition. Also ahead, we'll go through conflicting messages from President Trump about the future of Fed Chair Jerome Powell, as well as the warnings from top banking CEOs. And we'll dig into new reporting on last month's.
Okay. So what do you all think about that? It's interesting how it's calling people stupid after they voted for him. Right. He's just going in on these people. Honey, Trump doesn't give a darn about his base. He absolutely does not give a darn about these people. Okay. And quite frankly, they're saying Bondi doesn't get to choose what's credible and what isn't. Okay. That's what Representative Raskin said. He says, we want the entire file. Okay, he said she doesn't get to decide what's credible. Okay, so let's get into it, honey, because they are going back and forth. All right, and I'm here for it because I love it when they turn on each other. I sure do. Okay, They definitely have something to hide. I'm thinking, like I said, that these high-ranking people with all this money and power have given Trump a few coins, and we know Trump will do just about anything for money. At least I do. I think so. And that they've probably given him some money to keep this stuff on the hush because he was so adamant that he was going to release those files during his campaign. Okay, but now he wants to call it a hoax. Make that make sense.
House Judiciary Committee now are pushing for a public hearing on the Epstein files, urging their Republicans to call top Justice Department officials to testify about their handling of the investigation. Let's bring in the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland. Hey, Congressman, thank you so much for being with us. So this is fascinating to say the least. You have 83% of Donald Trump supporters saying they want the Epstein files released. You have the president calling it a Democratic hoax. We've had Tom Winter on this week, Ken Delaney, who's going to be on in a few minutes, just had David Rohde on this morning, who said, well, the president's actually correct. From all of our reporting, there's no magic list out there. There's no Epstein list. And there's not a lot of things that can be released that would be damaging to this rich and powerful group of men. I'm curious, and there's a poll number, 83% among Trump voters want it released. What is the Democratic response to this? What should the Democratic response to this be, given what the news reports are on what's in the files and what's not in the files, but also what Trump voters are demanding?
Well, it's not just Trump voters. I mean, the vast majority of the American public says release the files. And that's all we're saying. There's a huge file on this case. There are photographs in this case. There have been several law enforcement investigations that are completed. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. One of his other associates is dead. Maxwell's in prison for 20 years. So the criminal investigative process is essentially over unless there are new people who surface, in the prior investigations, but just release the files. That's all really the whole American public is saying. And, when the question is asked, well, where did people get the idea that there's a huge list of power elite actors who participated in the child sex ring that Epstein was running? They got it from Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the one promoting that idea, and J.D. Vance and Attorney General Bondi. So at this point, they've got to come clean with the public. That's not a difficult ask. And everybody is wondering, why suddenly has Donald Trump performed this 180-degree U-turn?
Let me stop right there for a moment, you guys. See, this is what I'm talking about. This all reeks of a cover-up. Now, he was very adamant in the beginning, talking about he's going to bring out that list. That's all him and J.D. Vance were talking about, okay? And now, all of a sudden, he's doing a whole complete turnaround and backpedaling, and now trying to imply that the whole thing was all made up, okay? As if we didn't hear what we heard. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. At the end of the day, somebody's giving him some money, in my opinion. Now, I can't substantiate it, but I think there's been a payout to keep this whole thing quiet, to sweep it under the rug and act like it never happened. Okay, Nicole said Trump was the puppet master. All right. Now, something shady is going on. And let's not forget who Trump has serious ties to. Okay. Let's not forget who he has serious ties to. All right. Remember who he said he was the king of. But let me continue.
On the whole thing, and he wants to just sweep it under the rug and say there's nothing to see here. So he's causing a lot more problems for himself as he delays the inevitable release of the file. And by the way, we don't want a release of the information that Pam Bondi deems credible. We want the entire file. We don't trust Bondi to say what's credible and what's not. We can be the judge of that ourselves.
So a lot of questions here. This has been a bizarre story for 20 years. I mean, the original plea deal that Acosta did in the Southern District of Florida, letting the state set up a deal where he walks in and out of prison. He works out of his office in Palm Beach. You have that part of the story. You have part of the story where, and we talked about it in 17, 18, 19, like we kept asking, why is this guy walking free? At the same time, Julie Brown was writing her extraordinary stories for the Miami Herald, but so many questions. But obviously, one question, you're saying release the files now. Why didn't the Biden administration, why didn't Merrick Garland release the files from 21 to 25? And if they didn't release the files then, why should they be released now?
So first on your...
The reason they should be released now is because that's what Trump promised. That's what he said during his campaign, that he would release the Epstein and the JFK files. That's what he said. Okay, nobody probably would have even been talking about it had he not brought it all up. Okay, so that's why people are asking about it, because that's what he said he was going to do. Biden never said anything about it.
Point about Acosta, you're absolutely right. This was Donald Trump's Secretary of Labor, who was then the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. DOJ had prepared a 60-count federal indictment against Epstein for running this child sex ring with human trafficking charges and prostitution and conspiracy and so on. All of that got transposed into one count of solicitation at the state level. They covered the whole thing up and they brokered that deal without the involvement of any of the victims or their families. So Democrats have been demanding hearings on that. We were demanding hearings on that and full disclosure on that many years ago. And we were blowing the whistle on Acosta and he was forced to resign. So, you know, this thing has had the stench of corruption for a long time. Why is it such a big deal now?
So did you get any evidence
ran...
on that, Congressman? Let me ask you about Acosta. I know he had to resign. Did you get any evidence on why did you figure out why this sweetheart deal was given? Any evidence on sex tapes then, or client lists, or any of the other things that 20 years later we're all asking for? Because it seems to me that was the original sin, so to speak, that sweetheart deal. And I fear 19 years later, any evidence that was available then is probably destroyed by now. What did you learn from your investigation of Acosta and this original sweetheart deal in 2006?
Well, we never had a full-blown investigation, which is what, you know, we were demanding. Acosta did end up resigning when all of these issues were raised. Obviously, there was all kinds of influence used in order to suppress a real prosecution and a thoroughgoing investigation. And they closed out the victims and their victims' families. So Epstein was able to use all of his powerful connections, including who was then his best friend, Donald Trump, in order to suppress a real hearing into what had happened. And look, why is this important? Because the sexual abuse of young people and children is a crisis throughout our society. There's, of course, the church scandal, or many church scandals. There's what happened at Michigan State. There's what happened at Ohio State.
But Congressman, you could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when Democrats controlled the DOJ. Why? It was a crisis then. It's a crisis now. Why didn't Democrats call for it from 21 to 25?
So, I mean, you have to go back and look specifically at particular prosecutorial decisions and what was taking place in terms of the other cases. So I don't know. We could try to reconstruct that record. But the point is that Donald Trump is the one who has led the crusade to say that that Epstein, who was his very close friend, and there's all kinds of pictures of them and so on, that Epstein was at the center of this broad conspiracy. He's now in a position to do exactly what he demanded, which was to release all of the files. And so why is that not happening? That's the question. I can't answer for Merrick Garland or any of, anybody else in the Department of Justice. But I will tell you that I believe there is a bipartisan consensus in the Judiciary Committee now that all of these records need to be released, and it's within their power to do it. That's what they were demanding. All they have to do is release the files, and not some of them, not the ones that Pam Bondi deems credible.
Right.
They all should be released. And by the way, they're also talking about subpoenaing Maxwell to come testify. That's great. She obviously, though, is looking for a presidential pardon and clemency. So she should not be viewed as the oracle for everything that happened. We should take her testimony with a grain of salt. But it's fine if they want to bring her forward, and that can be part of it. But we want the files themselves.
All right, ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jamie Raskin, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it.
Okay, so at the end of the day, that all sounds real crazy. Okay, that all sounds real crazy. Why don't they want to bring this stuff out? Okay, let's go to this report from News Nation while I look for this this article about Maurene Comey's firing. Okay. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
A twist in the saga over the Jeffrey Epstein files, the Trump administration has fired the person in charge of prosecuting his sex trafficking case. The Justice Department has fired Maurene Comey, daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, as she was the federal prosecutor assigned to the Epstein case, as well as the case of Sean Diddy Combs. That's according to our News Nation sources. News Nation's Libby Dean is live at the White House. Libby, why did the DOJ make this move, and why did they make it now?
Good morning, Marky. I mean, the timing here is key, but we still have no reason being provided by the DOJ just yet for Maurene Comey's firing. And that is raising some questions. Of course, she is this district court attorney, and she is of course, the daughter of the former FBI director, James Comey, someone President Trump fired in his first term and has repeatedly criticized throughout the years. While the Trump administration has previously fired DOJ lawyers working on cases that have provoked the president, Maurene Comey, long seen as a potential target given President Trump's souring relationship with her father, James Comey. Now, the firing comes as Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi faces this growing scrutiny over her memo announcing there's no client list for Jeffrey Epstein, something the president continues to defend. He's called that, of course, a hoax repeatedly, blaming Democrats and former FBI Director James Comey. Let's take a listen to the president.
These files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden information. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release.
Maurene Comey, of course, worked on the Epstein case, so this firing is certainly raising some eyebrows. But, Marky, as of this morning, we have not gotten reaction from the White House just yet. We also haven't gotten reaction from the DOJ, but this is certainly a developing story here at the White House as the Epstein files have been front and center for the last week here as President Trump tries to tamp down any talk of them. We'll see how this plays out. There's a press briefing here at the White House later this afternoon. They're certainly going to face questions about this latest firing of Maurene Comey.
Yep, I find it all interesting. Now, here's what the Daily Mail reported. Federal prosecutor working on the case of billionaire offender Jeffrey Epstein is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, who was fired by Donald Trump. Now, one of the federal prosecutors reportedly working on the case against alleged trafficker, it isn't alleged, he was convicted. Okay, Jeffrey Epstein is the daughter of James Comey. Maurene Comey is an assistant United States attorney in the Southern District of New York. Well, she was. Her tenure at the Justice Department's Manhattan office, which has a reputation for being the toughest group of federal prosecutors in the country, has included work on cases involving alleged racketeering, rugs with a D, and weapons crimes, embezzlement, obstruction of justice, and robbery. Okay, according to Law and Crime. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Now, according to her LinkedIn page, Maurene Comey completed her undergrad at the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia, where she majored in history and music. Okay, she then received a doctorate of law at Harvard Law School. Comey began working as an assistant U.S. attorney at Southern District of New York in 2015. Maurene Comey is one of 6 children that James Comey shares with his wife, Patrice Fowler. Comey and Fowler, who herself is a lawyer who works on juvenile justice issues, met when they both attended William and Mary in the late 1970s. Okay, I don't know why they're giving us her whole life story, but let's continue. Comey was the U.S. attorney at Southern District of New York from January of 2002 until December of 2003, a position to which he was appointed by then President George W. Bush. So he then went on to become the Deputy Attorney General in 2013. He was appointed by then President Barack Obama to head the FBI. Epstein, the wealthy financier and registered S offender, is due in court following an arrest, or was due in court following an arrest in New York on new S trafficking charges involving allegations that dated back to the early 2000s. Epstein, a wealthy hedge fund manager who once counted as friends former President Bill Clinton and President Trump, was taken into federal custody and was expected to appear Monday in a Manhattan federal court, according to 3 law enforcement officials. Okay, one of the officials said Epstein was accused of paying underage girls for massages and arresting them at his homes in Florida and New York. Epstein's arrest, first reported by the Daily Beast, came amid renewed scrutiny of a once secret plea deal that ended a federal investigation against him. Now, that deal, which was challenged in Florida federal court, allowed Epstein, who at the time was 66, to plead guilty to lesser state charges for soliciting and procuring a person under the age of 18 for prostitution. Now, averting a possible life sentence, Epstein was instead sentenced to 13 months in jail. The deal also required that he reach financial settlements with dozens of his once teenage victims and register as an S offender. Maurene Comey's involvement in the Epstein case could provide fodder for conspiracy theorists, given that Epstein's reported friendship with Trump. Okay, now it was Trump who early in his administration fired James Comey as director of the FBI, setting in motion a chain of events that led to the eventual naming of Robert Mueller as special counsel. Mueller headed a 2-year investigation into alleged meddling in the 2016 elections by Russia. His investigation did not find evidence that Trump conspired with Russia to tilt the election in his favor, though the question of whether the president obstructed justice went unanswered. So Trump and his supporters have accused Comey and the FBI and the Justice Department of being motivated by a pro-Hillary Clinton bias. Comey, formerly a registered Republican who left the party in 2016, has denied the allegations. Now, since his firing by Trump, Comey has slammed the president as unethical and untethered to truth, and calls his leadership of the country ego-driven and about personal loyalty. Comey has also compared Trump to a mafia boss. Well, I can see why. Okay, I have to agree. But supporters, didn't I tell you all Trump was running this country like a whole mafia boss, okay? With goons, no less. So I definitely agree with that. But supporters of the president say Comey had an anti-Trump bias, which was allegedly rampant inside the Justice Department and the FBI. See, let me tell you all something, what this all boils down to. Okay, let me tell you what this all boils down to as far as I'm concerned. The bottom line is Trump does not like James Comey. He hates that man. He currently has that man under a full-on investigation. He's alleged that when the man made that message in the sand, that was a threat to him and on his life. Okay, which to me was clearly a reach. Okay, clearly a reach. 86 just means remove or get rid of. Not that he's talking about taking Trump out. Okay, so that was a reach. But at the end of the day, I absolutely think that Trump really wanted this woman gone because she's James Comey's daughter. And he can't stand either of them. And I do believe that her husband, Lucas Issachar, will be next. I absolutely believe it. Now, with that all being said, goes on to say, Trump and his backers allege that the Obama administration, which included Comey, illegally surveilled members of his campaign as a way to undermine his presidency and call into question the legitimacy of his election. Now, Attorney General Bill Barr said that a U.S. attorney is overseeing an internal review into the origins of the Russia investigation to determine if there was any unlawful surveillance. Maurene Comey is married to Lucas Issachar, a Harvard Law School graduate who specializes in commercial litigation at the law firm of Sussman Godfrey. So with that all being said, let's just sit back and watch, because if this woman's husband gets fired next, we already know what time it is, okay? I think this has more to do with the fact that Trump doesn't like her father than it does with the Epstein files. At the end of the day, I really think so. I mean, I do think that Trump is covering up the Epstein files for a specific reason. I think somebody's giving him money. I think more than one person, several people have likely given him money to keep it under wrap. That's just my opinion. Because remember, I told you guys how before Epstein died, he supposedly gave the judge a list of 100 names. Okay. And then those names were sealed. Hold on. Let me look into this real quick. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Because that's definitely what was reported. Okay, it says in January 2024, Judge Loretta Preska of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York ordered the unsealing of hundreds of documents related to a civil lawsuit filed by Virginia Giuffre, who's now dead. Okay, I just want you all to pay attention, against Ghislaine Maxwell. These documents mention the names of over 150 individuals. Didn't I tell y'all? Okay, including Epstein's alleged associates, victims, and witnesses in the case. It is important to note that the inclusion of a name in these documents does not imply involvement in any wrongdoing. Please miss me with it. I think there was absolutely wrongdoing. Okay? Absolutely. Jeffrey Epstein contact names revealed in unsealed documents. Here are the key takeaways from the files. But there are no files. Now, this one says, this is a different report, it says documents that include the names of more than 100 people connected to Jeffrey Epstein, including his business associates, accusers, and others, okay, have now been made public following a federal judge's December ruling that the information be unsealed. That was the 900 pages. You all remember those 900 pages? Because I still have them. Do you all remember when they released those? And it was basically like transcripts and other information, testimony from victims and all of that stuff. You all remember that? Because they tried to play us and act like they were going to release the list, the flight log and all of that. But instead, they released those files. Okay? They released those files. But Trump says there are no files, right? So anyway, more than 900 pages of mostly unredacted documents were released. This was in January, okay? January 3rd to be exact. A second batch of documents was released Thursday, January the 4th. Okay, a third batch after that, and still more in the days that followed. Much of the information has been previously reported, and many of those whose names are mentioned are not accused of any wrongdoing. Though the unsealed court documents don't contain an actual list of associates, but that's what we all want to know. We want the list, okay? And that's what I said at the time. I said they're trying to play us and trying to divert our attention away from the list of the people that Jeffrey Epstein gave to that judge, which was sealed. Okay, now the names were expected to include some that also appeared on the flight logs of Epstein's private jet, nicknamed the Lolita Express, which he often used to fly to his private island in the Caribbean. Now, those manifest in other documents, such as his private calendar, had previously been made public, including as part of the legal proceedings or public record request. Many of those who had business or social ties with Epstein, who's a convicted ex-offender, have denied any misconduct or involvement in his activities. Well, of course they're going to deny it. Are they really going to come out and tell us that they were going to him to get people that he was trafficking? Of course not. Now, the release of names stems from a now settled defamation lawsuit brought in 2015 by Virginia Giuffre, who died mysteriously just a couple of months or so ago. Okay, remember the one that said that Prince Andrew was having, she was basically given to Prince Andrew when she was 16 or 17. Remember that? Okay, allegedly. Now, who accused British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell of enabling her abuse by Epstein. Maxwell was found guilty by a New York jury in 2021 on conspiracy and trafficking charges related to Epstein, her longtime friend and sometime romantic partner, and her role for a decade in the abuse of the underage girls. Now, court documents list 184 J. Does, starting at J. Doe number 3, J. Doe number 187. Some names are repeated twice. A small number are the names of minors or as assault victims, which the judge specified will not be released. Okay, just like the list of names of the clients that Epstein supposedly gave that judge. Now, according to a report, according to a court record released January the 3rd, documents for two does, 107 and 110, will not be immediately released. One was granted an extension until January the 22nd for her appeal about the release, and the other's appeal was still under review at the time. Now, in many cases, the names in the documents really are of innocent people. Why do they keep telling us that the names in the documents are innocent people and that these people say they didn't do anything and weren't involved in his activities, and that because their names are in there doesn't mean they did any wrongdoing? Don't y'all find that suspicious? They keep on saying that. I think these people absolutely had something nefarious going on with Epstein, and that's why their names are likely mentioned. Okay? But that's just my opinion. So it's really who may have been employed. It's people who may have gone to dinner or to a cocktail party at Jeffrey Epstein's home. This is what CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleiman said that it is not necessarily naming people who have engaged in actions that were anything like the deplorable actions of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm not buying that, because if these people were going to dinner with them, okay, if these people were hanging out with them, going on yachts with them and all of that stuff, you don't think that these people knew what the hell he was doing? And that more likely than not, they were also engaging in it? I want you all to pay attention. Okay, Lillian X said, and we're all stupid. Exactly. They think we're fools. Now, after the lies about the list not having anything to do with nefariousness, now they want to say there is no list. Okay, that we're all just crazy. Nene said they really think we're dumb. Exactly. But let's continue. I find this all so interesting. Now, they go on to say one of the documents released includes a lengthy list of names of people Giuffre's attorneys wanted to depose in her lawsuit against Maxwell. The documents released by the court mention some very well-known figures, okay, please pay attention, whose contacts with Epstein have been reported in the past, such as Britain's Prince Andrew. Yeah, and let's not forget how Virginia Giuffre said that he was a client. And the prince settled the lawsuit in 2022 with Virginia Giuffre, who accused him and Epstein of abusing her as a teen, an accusation Andrew denied. Well, of course he's going to deny it. Who would admit to that? In a court ruling or court filing at the time, his attorney said, Prince Andrew regrets his association with Epstein and commends the bravery of Miss Giuffre and other survivors in standing up for themselves and others. A deposition from Joanna Schoberg in the suit includes previous accusations alleged she was groped by Prince Andrew in 2001 when she was 21. Okay, BBC News reported that Buckingham Palace previously called her allegations categorically untrue. The newly released documents include questions to Maxwell about Schoberg. Now, Bill Clinton, also among the people whose names appeared in the documents, had allegedly been described by Epstein as a good friend. Okay, one Epstein accuser recounted this in 2019. Let's not forget that picture of Bill Clinton wearing a blue dress and red high-heel pumps. Okay, then on a painting that was in Epstein's house. Now, the former president's name also appeared on manifest for the private jet, on which he said he had taken 4 trips in connection with the work of the Clinton Foundation. He has not been accused of any wrongdoing, but he was on the jet, and we know where the jet was going, don't we? Okay. A spokesperson told CBS News it's been nearly 20 years since Clinton last had contact with Epstein, and referred CBS News to a 2019 statement denying Clinton had any knowledge of what he called Epstein's terrible crimes. So what I find interesting is this, and I want you all to pay attention. So what I want you all to think about is this. They're saying that all of these people, rich and wealthy, powerful people, presidents included, former presidents included, were just hanging out with Epstein, taking flights with him, going to dinner with him, parties with him, but yet none of them knew about his crimes. Let me tell you something. What I believe is the people that they're saying were hanging out with him and doing these things with him and had close ties to him, I believe that every last one of them knew exactly what the hell Jeffrey Epstein was doing it. And I think they were doing it too. I think they are the ones who were his clients. Okay? I think they're the ones who were his clients. But let's continue talking about his terrible crimes. Yeah, they were terrible. And many of these people were likely involved in it. Clinton's name also came up in the Sjoberg's deposition. She did not accuse him of any wrongdoing, but said that Epstein told her one time that Clinton likes him young, referring to girls. Okay? But he's not doing anything. He wasn't doing anything. And let me tell y'all something, honey. If y'all remember back in 2020, I did a very thorough video about Bill and Hillary Clinton and something that happened when they went over to a foreign country. Okay? Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that? It was all nefarious. All right? But with that all being said, in another of the documents, Maxwell testifies that Clinton never had a meal on Epstein's island and that she does not know how many times Clinton flew on Epstein's plane. Yeah, he may not have had a meal because maybe he didn't go there to eat, okay? At least not dinner. That being said, in the filing, Maxwell's team attempts to debunk an article by journalist Sharon Churcher of the Daily Mail, who described a dinner on Epstein's little St. James Island, allegedly attended by Clinton shortly after he left office. Maxwell's team claims that former FBI Director Louis Freeh submitted a report wherein he concluded that President Clinton did not, in fact, travel to nor was he present on Little St. James Island between January the 1st of 2001 and January the 1st of 2003, and goes on to say Secret Service assigned to the former president would have been required to file travel logs. Not if he went without the Secret Service. Not if he went by himself. He could have told the Secret Service, I don't need y'all to accompany me. Okay, so please miss me with it. That doesn't even make any sense. Also named in the documents is Sarah Kellen, a former Epstein employee who has been accused of by an adult victim of knowingly scheduling her flights and appointments with the financier and Maxwell. See, to get to the meat and potatoes of it all, we have to read between the lines, because these people that they're alleging were just associates or friends or just people who met him in passing and did a little business with him or went on his plane a time or two. I think these are the clients that they're not telling us about. I think these are the people on the flight logs, okay, on the list. Now, with that being said, Kellen's spokesperson had said in 2020 in a statement to CBS News that Kellen scheduled those appointments at the direction of Epstein and Maxwell and was herself actually and psychologically abused by Epstein for years. Now, I do believe that. The statement noted that Kellen deeply regrets that she had any part in it. Okay, so Epstein was accused of assaulting numerous teenage girls, some of them as young as 14 years old, according to prosecutors. Over many years, he allegedly exploited a vast network of underage girls at his home for sex, Palm Beach, Florida, and his private island near St. Thomas. Epstein had pleaded not guilty to charges brought in 2019 by federal prosecutors in New York of trafficking conspiracy and one count of trafficking with underage girls. His death in prison before facing trial was ruled a suicide. Epstein had cut a deal. Let's talk about it. He had cut a deal with prosecutors in Florida in 2008, reaching a non-prosecution agreement on allegations that he abused underage girls in return for pleading guilty to lesser state charges and serving 13 months in jail, much of the time on work release. He also had to pay settlements to victims and register as an offender. Now, the agreement, which had not been disclosed to his victims, was under investigation at the time of his death. Among documents released Thursday in a 2016 deposition from Joseph Riccarsi, a former detective with the Palm Beach Police Department, who led the investigation into allegations against Epstein of abuse and trafficking that culminated in the 2008 plea deal. Now, in the deposition, Riccarsi states that he interviewed around 30 girls who were either asked to or gave massages to Epstein at his home. Saying that when they went to perform a massage, it was for sexual gratification, he said. And of the 30 to 33 young women he interviewed, he said only one, whom he described as older, had massage experience, and the majority were under 18. Some told him they were recruited with the prospect of becoming a model for Victoria's Secret. He also said that the young women told him they were offered money to recruit more girls. The 18-page release deposition has large gaps where pages were not included. That may have been some names or something that was taken out, for all we know. Now, who else's names are among those released in the Epstein-related documents? Let's talk about it, because the people named in the documents might be the people that were actually on the list that they claim doesn't exist. Okay? A name's inclusion in the documents does not indicate the person, here they go again, I want you all to pay attention, does not indicate the person has committed or has been accused of any wrongdoing. How many times do they have to tell us? In addition, some of the people whose names appear are witnesses who were staff members, provided medical care, or were in law enforcement, for example. Y'all buying this? Because I'm not. Now, Juan Alessi and Alfredo Rodriguez, a longtime manager of Epstein's Palm Beach estate, and Rodriguez, his former butler, who died in 2015. Okay, died in 2015 or was he killed? I have questions. They're both named in the documents as having offered testimony. Maybe that's why he turned up dead. Okay, Jean-Luc Bruno, a one-time close friend of Epstein. Bruno was found dead. Are y'all listening to this? Found dead in a French jail in 2022. Why are all these people dead, y'all? Why are all of these people dead? Are y'all listening? Are y'all listening? Why are all these people turning up dead, including Epstein? But let me continue. Now, Jean-Luc Brunel was found dead in a French jail in 2022 while being investigated by that country's authorities. He was accused of helping procure women and underage girls for Epstein and was also alleged to have raped and assaulted women he knew from the modeling world. In the documents, one witness mentioned in a deposition asking him for a job, and several others were asked about him. Yeah, I want y'all to pay attention. This is a whole nefarious cover-up, okay? And it sounds like our government and president is in on it. Okay, all of these people turning up dead. Don't y'all find this interesting? And all of these people knowing and hanging out and having dealings with Jeffrey Epstein, but nobody knew what the hell he had going on. Please miss us with it. Bill Richardson, the former governor of New Mexico. Richardson died in September. What? He had been previously reported to have visited Epstein's sprawling Zorro Ranch in New Mexico at least once. Richardson denied accusations made by Giuffre, and she's dead too, let's not forget, who in a previously unsealed deposition said that she was directed to have sex with him. He called the accusation completely false and said he had never met Giuffre. Dead. Another one dead. David Copperfield. In her deposition, Joanna Schoberg said she had dinner with the magician David Copperfield at Epstein's home. What were you doing there, David Copperfield? Copperfield is not accused of any wrongdoing. Of course he isn't. Okay. Schoberg said that Copperfield asked her if I was aware that girls were getting paid to find other girls, but testified he told her no specifics about it. Say what now? So David Copperfield, the famous magician, sat up here and went to Epstein's house and then told somebody or asked somebody if they were aware about the girls getting paid. Then testified he told her no specifics. So he knew about it. I want y'all to pay attention. Donald Trump, a witness, said in a deposition that Epstein mentioned calling Trump and said the group would go to his casino when a storm forced his jet to land in Atlantic City during a 2001 trip. Now, the witness was asked if she gave Trump a massage, but she said no. Newsweek reported a Trump spokesperson said claims regarding Trump's relationship with Epstein were thoroughly debunked. Where's the proof that were debunked? Because you don't just get to tell us it was debunked and don't provide receipts. I need to have factual information. Okay, Trump said in 2018 that he knew Epstein like everybody in Palm Beach knew him. He was a fixture in Palm Beach. This is what Trump said at the time. I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him in 15 years. I wasn't a fan. Trump, please sit your arse down somewhere. You weren't a fan, but yet there's numerous of pictures of you hanging out with this man. Okay, are y'all listening to the bullshit? Now let's talk about Alan Dershowitz. Now this is Epstein's attorney, whom I played you all a video of him the other day when he was talking about the Diddy trial. Alan Dershowitz, attorney Alan Dershowitz, defended Epstein in the 2008 criminal case. Now, in one of the documents, lawyers discussed sworn testimony by 2 household employees, one of whom said Dershowitz visited Epstein's Florida mansion pretty often and allegedly got massages while he was there. Okay, according to the court document, the other employee testified Dershowitz visited Epstein's home without his family when young girls were present. Dershowitz has previously denied any wrongdoing. Well, of course, they're not going to admit that they did these things. Ahead of the document's release, Dershowitz warned against inferring anything about their contents in a live stream on his personal YouTube channel Tuesday, saying the important thing is not to assume guilt by association or guilt by accusation. He said in the half-hour live stream that as Epstein's lawyer, he had been on the plane many times and had been to the island once with his wife and daughter when no young people were present. Yeah, we believe you not. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Michael Jackson, in a deposition released January 3rd, Schoberg is asked if she's met anyone famous when she was with Epstein, and she said she met Michael Jackson at Epstein's house in Palm Beach. She said she did not give him a massage and did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. Now, I find that all interesting. Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Alessi testified in his witness deposition released January the 5th that he saw Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at the house, but did not specify when. The independent presidential candidate, who is not accused of wrongdoing, has previously said that he traveled twice on Epstein's plane with his family. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Y'all hear that? Leslie Wexner. Y'all remember Les Wexner? Okay, I think that he was Epstein's boyfriend because he said that Epstein took like $40 million from him. Remember when I reported that? Okay, among the handwritten phone messages from Epstein's staff, also released January the 5th, were notes that Leslie Wexner or his office had called. Epstein had for years worked as the personal money manager and business advisor for Wexner, the founder and CEO of Victoria's Secret parent company, L Brands. Wexner has said he regretted ever crossing paths with Epstein and denied knowing about Epstein's misconduct. Sure, you didn't know. Okay, I just want y'all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention because this is absolutely crazy. What do you all think? You all think these people were just hanging out with Epstein and didn't know anything about what he had going on? Because I think this was an open secret. And here's the thing. He was actually arrested in 2008. Okay, he made a deal. They didn't know about that deal he made. What do y'all think about this? But now Trump wants us to think there's no list. All sounds crazy to me. It all sounds very suspect. DJ Big Six said nefarious business. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And all these people that turned up dead. Okay. Please pay attention. All these people that just turned up dead. And y'all don't find that suspicious? Were these people going to tell something? Did these people have some sort of information they were willing to divulge? I don't know. But I find it very interesting. Okay? I find it very interesting indeed. And now it seems like a whole nother cover up. Now Trump wants us to think that this is all just jive, that it was all just malarkey. It was all just a hoax. It's a conspiracy theory. There never even was a person named Jeffrey Epstein. What the hell are y'all talking about? Why do y'all keep talking about this phantom man that doesn't even exist? Nobody ever knew or saw him. Nobody named Epstein died in a prison cell. Is that what he wants us to think? Trump, please sit down somewhere because you sound crazy. Okay, you absolutely sound crazy. Anyway, with that all been said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. But before I do, I want you all to hear this report by, because I thought it was so hilarious. I said, I got to share this with you guys. Nino Brown. Vince I am from the UK said, dead men tell no tales. Exactly. Okay, exactly. Lillian X says, Bondi says she had the files sitting on her desk. Yes, she did say that. Okay, but you know what I'm going to do? Nene said Trump is losing his mind. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do some real deep diving research tonight and see if I can put some of the pieces of this puzzle together. Because it's something real strange going on here. Something real nefarious and sinister. Okay? Something really insidious that they don't want us to know about. But we need to get to the bottom of it. Okay? We need to get to the bottom of it. And then people still falling dead. Virginia Giuffre was the last one, the latest one. Okay? This is all crazy. But let's listen to what Nino Brown had to say, because I find this man so crazy. He did a story about that doll, Annabelle. DJ Big Six said, connect the dots. I absolutely intend to. Beloved. Okay, now let's listen to this video. I'm going to put an overlay on here because Nino knows he is too crazy. For those of you who followed the channel, that paranormal channel I actually did a story on this too. But Nino is crazy. I want y'all to hear him telling this story about this doll, Annabelle Hutter, because I was in stitches. Okay, please pay attention. Let me put a little music in the background so I don't get any copyright claims.
Yeah, you something. What? Y'all better stop playing in God's face out here. Because God getting his lick back. And don't nobody hit back or hit harder than God. Y'all ever heard about that Annabelle voodoo doll? Well, the man that handles that doll fell dead in the most haunted city in the U.S., Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And this ain't the first life that damn voodoo doll done took. That damn demonic dog done turned on his own handler. Y'all still think God ain't real, because y'all be all like, God ain't real. Y'all don't replace the word God with the word universe, but that's a whole nother story. Y'all really think spirits and souls don't exist? Dan Rivera was once a man of God. He was a priest that converted over into a paranormal investigator. Well, he died while hosting the Devils on the Run tour at the age of 54 years old. He made his life exposing demons and hauntings and everything the church wouldn't speak on. But he had one rule: never mock what you don't understand. Until the night he met her, Annabelle. Annabelle, the cursed doll, locked behind the goddamn glass, sealed in prayer, feared by even the bravest exorcists. Dan and his partner, Marcus Hill, entered the Warren Museum after hours to document what they believed was a myth. Cameras was rolling. Holy water was in hand. But faith alone couldn't save them. At exactly 2:13 in the morning, Marcus went silent. Found in the corner, eyes missing, lips moving in reverse, Latin in his lap, sat Annabelle. Her face no longer blank, but smirking. Dan ran, Bible clutched to his chest, praying louder with every step. God, please, God, please. But his prayers wouldn't be heard because he done played with God. They say the devil doesn't come in flames. He comes in silence. Dan's body was discovered the next morning in the hallway. His spine was twisted backwards. No wounds, no blood, Just a frozen scream. And Annabelle was back in her case, clean as a whistle, sharp as a pencil. Now, some people say Dan's soul is still trapped in that museum. Right now, the body gone, but the soul's still in there with Annabelle bald-head ass. Others say his voice can be heard whispering Psalms 23 at night. But one thing is for goddamn certain. Annabelle wasn't just a dog. She was a doorway, and Dan Rivera never made it back through that goddamn door, cause he gone. Listen, spirits are real. Y'all better leave that dog demonic shit alone, cause y'all gonna around and find out. Why would this dodo head go anywhere with that goddamn dog? Who is his woo lady? Cause he must, the woo lady he go to must be related to Miss Cleo. He must found her in the middle of the mall. Cause ain't no way he's supposed to be playing with dolls and shit. And y'all probably don't know this, but every horror movie that come out in the movie theaters comes with a sacrifice. Somebody always die, either on set while filming that movie, or behind the scenes, or family members of one of the goddamn actors die. Y'all could look that shit up. The devil don't play no games. He definitely the god of that paranormal activity shit. He used that damn voodoo doll to snatch this man's soul. Stop playing with God. Y'all comment below and let me know if y'all heard of the Annabelle doll, or if y'all heard of goddamn Dan Rivera, whatever his name. The boy talk crazy. Y'all comment below, like the video, make sure y'all share the video. Stop playing with God, boy, before I go upside your head. Wait a bit.
That darn Nino is something else. Did y'all hear me? He is something else, okay? I find it all so interesting and clearly nefarious. Okay, so with that all being said, Queen V, thank you, beloved, for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so I hope y'all enjoyed that, because Nino is so crazy, honey. He does the absolute most. All right? And then when he said his spine was ripped and turned around and all that, his lips moving in reverse. Come on, Nino. Now you're just being extra. Okay, now you're just being extra. Okay, so anyway, beloveds, I might be back later on today. Okay, maybe around 6 or 7. I'm not sure yet, but I just might. So make sure you keep your notifications on. I hope you all enjoy the broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning back in. All right, I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Hey, yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. All in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin? God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got